So in my last video, I mentioned that I was starting to use AI. That video was about how you can't totally trust AI because somewhere it had reported that I had died and I had not, but it just kind of show you have to look at AI pretty critically before you just take what it says as the gospel truth. Well, I had mentioned I was working with AI, and one of the things I was doing, it wasn't my first or the only thing, but one of the things I was trying to do was use it to create art to supplement my articles, or art to not even supplement, but maybe create new material that's just based on graphic representation of concepts of problems that go along with smoking. So here's an example of one of the images. I was originally creating it to work with my article, Are You Stronger Than Your Cigarette? But after I did it, I realized it's a little bit hard for people to possibly understand what's going on. And in a way, it was covering more than that article. It Here we see a woman with a rope tied around her waist, a cigarette with a rope tied around its waist area, and they're in a tug of war over a bottomless cliff here. And if you're working with the concept that you can beat smoking by just being stronger, which was my original concept, this kind of could also make it look like quitting smoking is an impossible fight. And what I was looking at this image more for was for people who had already quit smoking, who thought they were now stronger than their cigarettes are, and they could take on this fight. They could control their smoking. They could just smoke one whenever they want. And so the image kind of crossed over two concepts. One is for a person who is addicted, they are not stronger than their cigarette. If they give cigarettes the opportunity to get into their system, if they give nicotine the opportunity to get in their system, it's going to take them down. It doesn't necessarily do it, though, immediately. It has two ways of taking a smoker down. One way is it can cause them to relapse right away. They're just hooked. The second way is more ominous. They could take the cigarette and get away with it. They smoke it and wow, they're fine. How does it take them down? Well, they now think they can take a cigarette whenever they want. They 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 know they can't. They know it because they just did it. But that sets up the precedent where, oh, if something goes bad one day, or if they're celebrating something big and they just want a cigarette to top off the evening, they could do it again. Hey, they did it once, they could do it again. It's a no-win fight because once they have that attitude, that belief that they can smoke whenever they want, that sets them up into a lifelong battle of having to refuse it over and over and over again without truly understanding the issue involved. That's going to cause them to take another one at some point. And that one might hook them, maybe not. But then they'll take another one at some point. Sooner or later, one hooks them and it takes them down. The way this image illustrates that is if they win here, if the woman wins the fight, the cigarette's going down. But the rope is tied to the person. And if the cigarette goes down, they're going down with it. And that's what the imagery here is trying to represent. So if you're off smoking now, don't get stuck in the abyss of an active addiction. Again, it's going to pull you down. And being pulled into this abyss can end up costing you your health and your life. The way to avoid ever being trapped into that life again is, again, just continue to stick to your personal commitment to never take another puff